So we're reading from Nectar Devotion. This is chapter entitled Expressions of Love for Krishna. We are at expression called intoxication. When one becomes arrogant with false prestige due to drinking intoxicants or being too lustful, the voice becomes faulty, the eyes become swollen, and there are symptoms of redness on the body. There is a statement in Lalita Madhava that Lord Baladeva, intoxicated from the drinking the excessive quantities of honey, once began to address the ants. O you kings of the ants, why are you hiding yourselves in the holes? At the same time, he also addressed the king of heaven. O King Indra, you plating of Sachi, why are you laughing? I'm now prepared to smash the whole universe, and I know that Krishna will not be angry with me. Then he addressed Krishna, my dear Krishna, tell me immediately why the whole world is trembling and why the moon has become elongated. And oh you members of the Yadu dynasty, why are you laughing at me? Please give me back my liquors made of honey from the Kandamba flower. Sri Rupa Goswami prays that Lord Balaram will be pleased with all of us while he is thus talking just like the intoxicated person. In this state of intoxication, Balaram felt tired and lay down for rest. Generally, those who are exalted personalities lie down when they feel intoxicated, whereas those who are mediocre laugh and sing during intoxication, and those who are lowly use vulgar language and sometimes cry. Such intoxication is manifested according to different ages and mentalities. Sri Rupa Goswami does not describe further in this direction because there is no necessity for such a discussion. There is another description of the symptom of intoxication in the person of Sri Radharani after she saw Krishna. Sometimes she was walking hither and thither. Sometimes she was laughing, sometimes she was covering her face, sometimes she was talking without any meaning, and sometimes she was praying to her associate gopis. Seeing these symptoms in Radharani, the gopis began to talk among themselves. Just see how Radharani has become intoxicated simply by seeing Krishna before her. This is an instance of ecstatic love in intoxication. The Nectar Devotion Ki Jai. So,
you already read about the rest of the actual start chanting.
So this one?
No.
Just this?
Tulsi Vaivana.
And this?
And then Nimbaki.
So this is a Tulsi Shalagram Vivaha. The wedding of a Shalagram and Tulsi Devi. The pastime of the appearance of and marriage of Shalagram and Tulsi Devi are as follows. Dharmadvaja and his wife Madhavi were devotedly worshipped Lakshmi Devi to gain her favor, and thus plenary portion of Lakshmi entered Madhavi Devi's womb. On Kartik Purnima, at the time marked with every auspicious sign, Madhavi gave birth to the exquisitely beautiful young girl, never again beyond 16 years. Here, her beauty stole the mind and heart of everyone, and being impossible to compare her with anyone else, she became known as Tulsi, matchless. Leaving home, Tulsi went to Badrivan, where she performed several penances with the desire in her mind that Lord Narayana himself become her husband. Brahmaji appeared before her and asked her what boon she desired. Tulsi explained to him, in my previous birth, I was Gopi named Tulsi. By my wonderful good fortune, I was able to become the very dearly beloved maidservant of Lord Krishna. One day in the Rasa Mandala, Srimati Radharani angrily cursed me to be born on the earth in human society. Thus, leaving my divine body, I have taken my birth on the earth in this present form. Now I desire the boon of attaining Lord Narayan as my husband. Lord Brahma replied, there was one cowherd boy named Sudama, who also received Srimad Narayana's curse, to be born on earth. By the curse, he has been born in a family of demons and is now famous on the earth as Sankachuda. He has done extreme penances to attain certain boons and to get you as his wife. Thus, in this life, he will become your husband for some time. Later, by the influence of Lila, you will curse Lord Narayan, but accepting your curse, Lord Narayan will then become your husband. Lord Vishnu will love you more dearly than his own life, and without your presence, all puja will be fruitless. By my boon, becoming the presiding deity of all the trees, you will freely enjoy unlimited happiness in a constant association of Lord Vishnu. Sankachuda also received his desired boon from Lord Brahma. He got an all-auspicious protective shield, Kavacha, as well as the benediction that as long as the chastity of his wife was not violated, no one would be able to heal him. Thus, becoming very arrogant, he began to terrorize all the demigods and human beings. Lord Shiva, being requested by the demigods, went personally to fight with Sankachuda. Meanwhile, Lord Vishnu made a plan to destroy the chastity of Tulasi. He went to the place where Lord Shiva was fighting with the demon, and, assuming the form of Brahman, he asked Sankachuda for his protective shield in charity. Then the Lord went to see Tulasi. Deceiving her in this way, he began to enjoy with her as if he were her husband, and thus broke her chastity. The Bhavishya Purana goes for great length to point out that there was certainly no fault on Lord Vishnu's part. He wanted to maintain the benediction given by his devotee, Lord Brahma, to Sankachuda, and at the same time, he wanted to protect the demigods and devotees. For this purpose, he created this particular pastime with the appearance of improper behavior. But since Tulasi in the plenary part of Lakshmi Devi, she is actually the wife of Lord Vishnu. At that very moment, Lord Shiva killed Sankachuda on the battlefield. When Tulasi understood all that had happened, she said, by deceiving me, you have broken my chastity and killed my husband. You are absolutely stone-hearted. Thus I curse you to remain on earth as a stone. Lord Hari said, for many years you underwent very difficult penances to achieve me. At the same time, Sankachuda has also done several penances to get you, but by the result of his austerity, he enjoyed you as his wife and has now gone to Goloka. Now you will get the fruit of your penance, leaving this mortal body and taking a divine form. You will always remain with me. Your present body shall turn into the river Gandaki, and from your hair will grow many trees famous as Tulasi. To fulfill your curse, I will become a stone, Shalagram Shila, and will always live on the banks of Gandaki river. The millions of worms who live in that place will adore those stones with the signs of my chakra by carving them with their sharp teeth. After this, Lord Vishnu began to dwell perpetually in the water of the Gandaki river in a form of stones. The Brihanaradiya Purana warns that if one worships a Shalagram Shila and doesn't offer Tulsi leaves, then his house is considered equal to a cremation ground. There, Sri Narad Muni says it is impossible to explain the importance of Tulsi leaves in the worship of Shalagram Shiva, as Tulsi is the most beloved consort of Hari in the form of Shalagram Shiva. Tulsi Shalagram Vivaha Ki Jai. This is about Sri Nimbarkacharya. Sri Nimbarkacharya preached Krishna consciousness about 300 years before the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Navadip Dham Mahatyam, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Nimbarka had previously worshipped Lord Shiva in Bilvapaksha Rudravip, Navadip. Lord Shiva appeared before Nimbarka, instructing him to take initiation from the 4 Kumaras who were meditating nearby. Nimbarka received Radha Krishna mantra and continued living in Navadip. Following the teachings of the Sanatan Kumara Summit, he worshipped Radha and Krishna with great love. Soon, Radha and Krishna appeared before Nimbarka. Then the divine couple displayed their unlimited form as Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Lord Gauranga said, Nimbarka, in the future, when I begin my Sankirtana movement, I will personally preach the perfect transcendental philosophy of Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. I will take the essence of the philosophies of Madhava, Ramanuja, Vishnuvami, and Vishnu Swami. From you, Nimbarka, I will take 2 important principles: the necessity of taking shelter of Srimati Radharani, and the second, the high esteem of the Vraja Gopis, love for Sri Krishna. Lord Gauranga disappeared after instructing Nimbarka. Shedding tears of ecstasy, Nimbarka left Navadip to begin his preaching mission. In Chaitanya Lila, Nimbarka appeared as Keshava Kashmir and received the love of Godhead directly from Nimai Pandit. There are striking similarities between the Gaudiyas and the Nimbarkas. The followers of Nimbarka accept the 6 forms of surrender, practice the 9 limbs of bhakti, and believe in the Dasa Mula, 10 cardinal points of Gaudiya philosophy. They also worship Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. They worship Srimati Radharani as the topmost devotee, and they accept the gopis' love for Krishna as supreme. With beads, bhajan, and kirtan, the Nimbarkas chant their version of the Maha Mantra. Radha Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham Sham, Radhe Radhe. In Vrindavan, about 1 mile from Govardhan, there is the village of Nimgoan, named after Nimbarkacharya, who lived there from childhood and later performed pastimes there. Many of Radha Krishna's pastimes places in Vrindavan are now maintained by the Nimbarka sect. In Mathura Vrindavan, innumerable devotees follow Nimbarka's path of bhakti. The Sriji Mandir, just off Loy Bazaar in Vrindavan, serves as the center of Nimbarka Sampradaya. Shri Nimbarkacharya ki jai.
Need some water.
So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayate Nashta Praya Shaptreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nanashtiki. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 8th Canto, Chapter 3, entitled Kanjendra's Prayer of Surrender. I'm reading text 29, which is just the last verse before Lord Kachendra sees Lord Vishnu, meets Lord Vishnu. This is text 29. Nayam Veda Swam Atmanam Nayam Veda Swam Atmanam Yat Chakyaham Diya hatam yachchakyayam diyahatam tam durataya mahatmayam tam durataya mahatmayam Bhagavatam ito asmi aham Bhagavatam ito asmi aham Nayam veda svamatmanam Yachchakyayam dihatam Tam duratyaya mahatmayam Bhagavantam ito asmi aham Nayam vedam swayam atmanam Yachchayakya diyahatam Tam duratyaya mahatmayam Bhagavantam ito asmi aham Nayam vedam vedasvam atmanam Yachchakyaham diyahatam Tam duratyaya mahatmayam Bhagavatam ito asmi aham Nachayakam diyahatam Tam duratyaya mahatmayam Bhagavantam ito asmi aham Nayam veda svamatmanam Yachchayakam diyahatam Tam duratyaya mahatmayam Bhagavatam idasam Nayam veda svaratmanam Yachchacham hidayadam Tam duratyaya mahatmayam Bhagavatam ito asmi aham Not I am people in general. Veda, no. Swam, own. Atmanam, identity. Yat Shakya, by whose influence. Aham, I am independent. Diya, by this intelligence. Hatam, defeated or covered. Tam, unto him. Duratyaya, difficult to understand. Mahatmayam, whose glories. Bhagavantam, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Itaha, taking shelter. Asminaham, I am. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Sri Prabhupada Ki. Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose illusionary energy the Jiva, who is part and parcel of God, forgets his real identity because of the bodily concept of I. I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose glories are difficult to understand. Please repeat. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose illusionary energy the Jiva, who is part and parcel of God, forgets his real identity because of the bodily concept of life. I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose glories are difficult to understand. Perfect. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, every living entity, regardless of whether he be human, demigod, animal, bird, bee, or whatever, is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord and the living entity are intimately related like father and son. Unfortunately, because of material contact, the living entity forgets this and wants to enjoy the material world independently, according to his own plan. This illusion, Maya, is very difficult to surmount. Maya covers the living entity because of his willingness to forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead and make his own plan to enjoy this material world. As long as this contamination continues, the conditioned soul will be unable to understand his real identity and will perpetually continue under illusion life after life. Ato griha kshetra sutapa vitta janasya moho ayam aham mameti. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.8. As long as the living entity is not enlightened, so that he may understand his real position, he will be attracted to materialistic life, to house, country, or field, the society, sons, family, community, bank balance, and so on. Covered by all this, he will continue to think, I am this body, and everything related to this body is mine. This materialistic conception of life is extremely difficult to surmount, but one who surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the Gajendra, the king of the elephants, comes to the enlightenment on the Brahma platform. Brahma bhuta parasnatma nashachati nakashnashi sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward all living entities. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Bhagavad Gita 18.554. Since a devotee is completely on the Brahma platform, he is not jealous of any other living entity. Samaha sarveshu bhuteshu. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshuruminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapita Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kanamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam. Vanchakalpatrubhishta kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pashtatate Shadarine. Hare Krishna. So this is the last verse before Sri Shukadeva Goswami takes over, and that's where the Lord appears as well. So Lord Gajendra explains that our forgetfulness about Lord Krishna and our conditioned state, as explained, that we are covered by this illusionary energy, and that it is really, really difficult to overcome this illusionary energy. And we can see that from the example of from Bhagavad Gita, from Mahabharata, that we have two sides. You have your Kauravas and Pandavas, and you can see that because Kauravas, they are overwhelmed with this idea of possessions and material wealth, that they simply lose their intelligence and they forget about their natural position, because the natural constitutional position. And in that state, when you forget your constitutional position, we are trying to find the shelter of different material items. Shri Shri Kantai Mai Purusha Shri Ki Jai. So whenever we forget our real position, constitutional position, we try to take shelter of many other things, such as family, society, same as Prabhupada mentions here, house, country, or field and society, sons, family, country, bank balance, and so on. But these things just give a temporary shelter. It gives this little illusion that everything's going to be fine, but sooner or later we'll have to leave these things. So we simply forget that we are actually the servants of Krishna, right? And we should come to the position where we can just pray and simply say, my Lord, I forgot my service. From this day, I become again your servant. Please give me protection. And then this is also an example of Gajendra. He was enjoying very nicely on heavenly planets, but only when that difficulty came, he started to actually realize that this is not the place of happiness. And so the only shelter is really is the Supreme Person of the Godhead. So from Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, we can see there's a lot of these Vedic injunctions, how to. So whenever Arjuna started to become bewildered by seeing his family, friends, teachers, sons, cousins on the other side of the battlefield, seeing they're ready to fight, and he started to question about these these things about different Vedic instructions and these cultural aspects of is there really need to kill everyone? Because by killing everyone, Arjuna gives 5 reasons why not to fight, right? So one of the reasons is that by killing all these kshatriyas, all these sons and fathers and teachers, and in future there's not going to be there's not going to be no one who's going to offer oblations to the forefathers, and in that way all the societies simply start to become more sinful, degraded. Women will also get exploited, and there's going to be increase of unwanted progeny, Varnashankara. And so he's putting forward these. So Arjuna puts forward these excuses to Krishna, but the point, the real fact is actually that because the other side is covered by this illusionary energy, thinking that without Krishna we can still live happily, we can still win this battle, and they simply don't understand. And actually, wherever there is Krishna, there's always going to be a victory, right? So, and even if Duryodhana now he managed to get the whole army of Krishna, he didn't take Krishna on his side. So this is the problem, that we want to enjoy the opulence of Krishna without Krishna, and this is where all the suffering and depression comes in. So there's this from Mahabharata. There's this little small story about how so Lord Krishna was offering this forest to the Agni, because there was different herbs in the forest, and Agni needed this forest. So, and then when Krishna offered this forest to Agni, there was this demon Maya in the forest, which was saved by Arjuna, and in that way Arjuna made a very nice friendship with this demon Maya, and in return for that saving his life, he constructed this very nice palace, which was it was very complex, very 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 beautiful palace. And whenever Duryodhana came to visit the Pandavas, came to visit Arjuna, he was very much bewildered by the opulence of this house, and he was mistaking land as a water and water as a land. And from there, it is described in Mahabharata that from there, Duryodhana kind of he was very offended by the opulence, and so he became very much envious. And so from there, he's like, he took Pandavas as eternal enemies, basically. And so from here you can see when that sort of envy, that greed comes in, that we lose intelligence, and this is the starting of the fall down. And also in I think in Prabhupada it talks about how we come to this material world. Yeah, so so we can these days we can take the shelter of different things, and even same as Arjuna, we can even justify our reasoning of not taking shelter of Krishna by different Vedic injunctions. But in reality, and especially in this age of Kali, the only shelter is, is the chanting of the holy name. As Mahaprabhu introduced, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kanonaste, vanaste eva anyan, gati anyan anyata. Gati anyan anyata. So there's no the chanting of the holy name is the only means of deliverance. There's no other way. There's no other way. So similar by Ganjendra, the king of elephants. He was fighting for thousands of years, and so it took a lot of time to come to realization that actually you just simply have to surrender to the Supreme Person of Godhead. He's the only one who can, deliver me from this awful condition. So, same as Krishna says, Samadharma pritaja mamakam sharanam vajam aham tam sarva pabhevyo mokshashami masuchaha. Just simply surrender to me, I will deliver all you from all your sinful reactions. Right? So, and so it's more as simple for simple and difficult for crooked. So it's this process of self-realization isn't actually anything too difficult, right? So in different ages, people practice different methods, perform different methods in order to advance spiritually. But in this age of Kali, we can't really perform any meditation properly or the deity worship properly, and also these fire sacrifices. Only the main core is to actually chanting the holy name of the Lord. And this what we just most, because we have this, most of the people don't have this knowledge and understanding, then we try to take this part of this meditation, which is just which is not really bringing any benefit. It's only these days it's only about showing off and increasing the bodily kind of like connection rather than actually growing spiritually. So it's so important to get on the streets and get this knowledge out, because pretty much every day whenever we go on the streets, you can sense that when you maybe go into maybe like a philosophical discussion, you can understand that people just don't have this spiritual knowledge, and then it's because they don't have the spiritual knowledge, they tend to speculate, or just tend to attempt that spirituality is just some sort of like how do you say like a sentiment, right? It's something we just feel. Yeah, just feel it. This is the right thing, right? But it's a spiritual science actually, and we're blessed that Sri Prabhupada came and gave this spiritual knowledge, so we can actually practice this, attain a perfection. So, and one last thing I want to say. Oh yes, so there was an important thing in a pulpit. So Prabhupada was saying that there's a very important point that we ourselves, we cannot get out of this covering of Maya, this material energy. So even the jiva, the spiritual spark is very powerful. Because it's so small, it can be covered by the material energy, right? Because it's so big. And then the Prabhupada says that actually that as long as the living entity is not enlightened, so that he may understand his real position, he will be attracted to materialistic life. So it basically means that we need someone. As long as we are not enlightened, we can't really just get out ourselves. We need someone to come and say, look, there's a way out. So just like a spiritual teacher, just like Prabhupada and so devotees. That's why we approach people on the street saying like, you're not this body, you're a spiritual spark. Wake up, Jiv Jaga. So this has to be someone to just come and poke that bubble of illusion, and so that's a very important point. What Prabhupada also emphasizes that as long as we are not enlightened, we will be continuously unable to understand our real identity, and will perpetually continue under illusion, life after life. So it's a great message that we can be here and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam in association with devotees and chant the holy name, take prasad, and sometimes with my own personal experiences, sometimes that in the mind you want something more, but really it's just appreciating these simple things, being in the right association, reading Bhagavatam, chanting holy name, taking prasad. It's a great mercy. So, any questions or comments? Yes, we do.
When we're preaching to people, and our ability to affect them is determined by how pure we are, isn't it? Purity is the force. So, do we just accept that we're not going to have much impact on people and just try to spend more time giving them Srila Prabhupada's books until we ourselves are more potent, more purified, where we can really affect people, that they meet us on the street, and then the next day they're there for the morning program, and then a week later they're shaved up.
Yeah, we certainly don't have that potency yet, because there's this past time of Srila Prabhupada, how some person on the street was, I think Prabhupada gave like a fire to the person, and somehow other this person ended up in this assembly in some building where there was chanting going on, and so it's like Prabhupada has this really like strong potency, but it can just affect people in that good way. But as we don't have it, we just we try to. It's very important just kind of follow the instructions and not try to imitate. Yeah. So and Prabhupada's instruction. Yeah. So we should do what we can, because the Bhagavad Gita itself, it's when we give it out, it preaches. It keeps preaching. Yeah. So we're just making this like a small part of the whole process, right? We're trying to be like a postman. We're just delivering the book, right? But further on, the books just keeps preaching. Prabhupada through his books, he keeps preaching if the person opens up, or whoever opens up the book. So, and that's also through the chanting and through the association of reading and distributing books, we get more purified, and from there, when we get purified, and also when we get mercy of Krishna, when Krishna sees that we are strict, we are stable, and we can take more responsibility, then Krishna certainly will empower us. It's just a matter of time and purity and steadiness, and it's more about, it's oftentimes you see on streets, and Christians, they preach, Jesus love you, right? But I think it's more of a fact, like, can God, can he loves everyone as his sons and the parts and parcels, but can God trust us, right? So when God can trust us, he can empower us more, and in that way we can maybe affect people more in that sense, I guess.
I've just been listening to a debate with Srimad, and it's about somebody's playing the position of a Ritvik. Srila Prabhupada is the only spiritual master. And so Srila Prabhupada is just quite emphatic that this is actually offensive. In the name of pleasing Prabhupada, it's actually offending Srila Prabhupada. And that he reads one of the last letters where the devotees are asking him about Ritvik, and he says, no, you become regular guru, he becomes your disciple. And then straight after that, I had a lecture. I was going to try, I just had it this morning, I was going to try and find exactly what it was. But Prabhupada says we need thousands of spiritual masters. Otherwise, how can we spread this message, you know? So it seems like you say we have to become trusted, and then we can become empowered. And on Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani last night, which you're all welcome to join, it's just a sang, it's not me loading it over everyone, we just read through it and discuss it. The point came up that the first major breakthrough is Shraddha. That's the first major thing Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So you get that initial faith and so much changes in your life. But the next breakthrough doesn't come until you achieve steadiness, which is the third verse of the Shikshastakam Trinada piece in Icheno. When you actually become genuinely humble and respectful, then you achieve steadiness, you're beyond anartha nivritti. Then you can look at taking disciples, then you will have some potency, you know. So the challenge is that when you come, how long is it going to take before you get the next major breakthrough, which is where you attain steadiness, you know. First of all, physically, then verbally, and then eventually mentally steady. And once you are, then Krishna has big plans for what he wants us to do, you know.
Yeah. I guess also that, yeah, thank you for it. You were saying about also, you know, why we can affect the way we can just bring devotees, shave their heads, and you know, sing Bhagavatam, and I guess in that same way, yeah. So maybe, yeah, I think you also mentioned sometime ago, maybe just a few of us, so we just kind of like Krishna's preparing us for leaders in the future, maybe. So, and it's just a matter of getting there, and then yeah, be faithful and just keep going with the process. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking it's about this verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that the devotee never perishes, na me bhakta pranashati. And we got an example here of, I mean, I guess Gajendra's not perishing, but he's falling down, you know. It's quite a common thing. I'm just wondering why this happens to devotees. And Krishna's saying that, declare it loudly, boldly, that my devotee never perishes.
So why devotees fall down of the process of devotion service? Boop.
Well, because I was just reading Sridhana Janani last night, and Maharaj was mentioning this about Mother Yashoda as well, when she was really like upset about what had happened with Krishna, and then the whole pastime unfolded, and Krishna like forgives her, you know. And Maharaj is saying this is another example of how the devotee never falls down. I'm just wondering how
the devotee never falls down.
Yeah, no, well, you know, like we see many devotees falling down, you know, but, you know, and Krishna says his devotees never perish or fall down.
Well, it says perish, this is never fall down.
I didn't read it before, but it just mentioned what fall down is, that's never fall down.
So that's really qualifying where devotee is, right?
Yeah.
He says that was said to that, you get back up and you're still in the race, and you're still considered saintly. Maybe not devotee, but you're still considered saintly. But another way of looking at it as well is there's different levels of attainment. So Mahapunya is the first one, and then Swasti Aina is we embark on an auspicious journey. But it's not a given that you're going to achieve perfection in that journey, in that lifetime. The percentage of devotees who are Shabam, who are going back this lifetime, may be quite small. Shiv Ramaj was saying 1 in 10,000. I don't know whether that's 1 in 10,000 devotees or just 1 in 10,000 people, but it's very rare. So if you want to be one of the ones, that's very rare. The other ones don't perish because they have Brahma, the Sosti. They don't lose they don't take an animal birth, and they take off from where they left off in the last life. So in that sense, they don't perish. Like with the riven cloud, it's nowhere. There's nothing left, you know. But with a devotee, nothing he's done is lost. It's all just waiting. So in that sense, he doesn't perish. And then he takes up from where he's left off in his previous life. This time he's going to be more serious because he may have had to have gone through some hellish experience when he died. And this time he's like really, really wary of material energy. He's really taking the whole thing seriously, you know. And that's going to be his last lifetime. So to get to that point, you may have to go through some purification. You may have to wander off the path, get rectified, and then wander back on, and then get to the stage where you're one of those ones that's Shubham, that's going to go back that lifetime, you know. That's up to you if you want to do it this lifetime, or you want to mess around a bit. The more you try to make it easy, the more it becomes difficult. Unfortunately, it's the way it works.
Yeah. I was reading the Chanmar by Sriram Swami, and he was also talking about how when we start Krishna consciousness, we don't know much. So there's a possibility to chant offensively. So that's why we feel like ecstatic when we start to acquire knowledge, start to associate, start to know about etiquettes and culture. We start to make offenses because we know we shouldn't be doing this, but we sometimes we do it anyways, and that's an offense. So it could be that it's just my understanding how, because we are in that stage of we making offenses, it can be too much that we just maybe think it's better just leave. Otherwise we're making too much offenses. But I think Maharaj is just saying that we just keep chanting, just keep going with the process. So yeah, it can be encouraging, but I think, as you say, there's no use and there's no benefit of getting discouraged. It's not going to lead anywhere. So
he's just in a podcast recently. He says the only good thing about Namaparad is that it leads to Namavas. That's the only good thing about it. So if you think I'm going to discontinue Namaparad because it's Namaparad, then you've got no chance of getting Namavas. But the path to Namavas is Namaparad. And you get to the point where you think, why am I just wasting my time? Why am I just nullifying? I'm chanting, and I could be doing it nicely, and I'm nullifying the benefits. Why can't I not just be attentive? When you reach that point, then you enter into Namavas, then it's the clearing stage, and then Shinanam can start talking. So you can't avoid it, and it's like walking along the path and the stones are really big and jagged, you think, oh, I'm going to skip this, but it's part of the path. If you keep going, the stones get smoother. And your path eventually is no stones. It's funny, there's an offering by Kavichandra Maharaj. He says, in the beginning, I thought I was a good devotee. Then later on, I just thought, well, I'm a devotee. Then later on, I thought, I'm trying to be a devotee. He says, and now I'm just wondering, I'm actually trying. So you kind of go through these stages, and then when you get purified, then your standard of orthodox society becomes much higher. So that's okay to feel like that. I'm discouraged.
Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Gaur Premanandi.
There you go.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Jai.